Magnificent photos of New York Old Penn Station before it was demolished.
During the first half of the 20th century, the original Pennsylvania station was one of New York City's grandest landmarks, a palace in the middle of Manhattan. These photographs take readers back in time to the height of Penn Station's glory. From construction to destruction, we visit the station's crowded, light-filled concourse, its ornate statues, and its dedicated people. Although this impressive building only stood from 1910 to 1963, the memory of its majestic presence in the heart of New York City lives on to this day. The story begins in the late 1890s when Pennsylvania Railroad leaders Alexander Cassatt and Samuel Rea dared to pioneer two feasts. First, they would lay down tracks in the turbulent Hudson and East Rivers to reach Manhattan, which had become a global hub of commerce. They were visionaries, as tunneling was a concept few had heard of. Second, they would build a monumental station in the heart of one of New York's most notorious, corrupt, and vice-filled neighborhoods. It would be a station that would do more than transport passengers. It would ennoble the public. When Penn Station opened, it had a capacity of 144 trains per hour on its 21 tracks and 11 platforms. At the start of operations, there were 1,000 trains scheduled every weekday. Penn Station had started to decline in the 1930s. The station was busiest during World War I. In 1945, more than 100 million passengers traveled through Penn Station. The station's decline came soon afterward with the beginning of the jet age and the construction of the interstate highway system. The PR recorded its first ever annual operating losses in 1947, and intercity rail passenger volumes continued to decline dramatically over the next decade. By the 1950s, its ornate pink granite exterior had become coated with grime. A renovation in the late 1950s covered some of the grand columns with plastic and blocked off the spacious central hallway with the clamshell, a new ticket office designed by Lester C. Tickey. Architectural critic Louis Mumford wrote in The New Yorker in 1958 that nothing further that could be done to the station could damage it. In 1962 plans were revealed to demolish the terminal and build an entertainment venue, Madison Square Garden, on top of it. The new train station would be entirely underground and boast amenities such as air conditioning and fluorescent lighting. At the time, one argument made in favor of the old Penn Station's demolition was that the cost of maintaining the structure had become prohibitive. Its grand scale made the PRR devote a fortune to its upkeep, and the head house's exterior had become somewhat grimy. Despite large public opposition to Penn Station's demolition, the New York City Department of City Planning voted in January 1963 to start demolishing the station that summer. The destruction of Penn Station was a tragedy for New York City and the world. A monument built for the ages lasted only 52 years, to be replaced by a mundane underground station, cramped and dark, with an entertainment complex on top. Penn Station became the martyr, as its destruction led to the Landmarks Commission and subsequent savings of other historical buildings like Grand Central Station. The replacement Penn Station was built underneath Madison Square Garden at 33rd Street and 2 Penn Plaza. The station spans 3 levels, with the concourses on the upper 2 levels and the train platforms on the lowest level. The 2 levels of concourses, while original to the 1910 station, were renovated extensively during the construction of Madison Square Garden and expanded in subsequent decades. The general reception of the replacement station has been largely negative. Comparing the new and old stations, Yale architectural historian Vincent Scully once wrote, "One entered the city like a god, one scuttles in now like a rat."
If you like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel.